Let me tell you something. It happened so unexpectedly. You know, what happened was I had done an interview in 1981. I did an interview with Rolling Stone magazine. And the last question was, now that you've got your own platinum album, you know, in other words, you're not a background singer anymore. What would you like to do next? What do you want to accomplish next? And my quote was, I'd wrestle Bruno Sammartino, who was the champion at that time, for a chance to produce Aretha Franklin, you know. And we just laughed, ha, 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 and the article closed out.
Baby, baby, sweet baby.
This is a woman whose album I had under my arms, along with my school books, going to school, because Lady Soul was the name of the album. It had Chain of Fools, it had Natural Woman, it had Money Won't Change You, it had just, you know, all the songs since you've been gone, you know, those great songs, grooving. And she says, well, if you got something for me, let me hear it. We're getting ready to record, and I'd love to hear it. And I was doing a Saturday Night Live, and Marcus Miller was playing with me, and we found a piano in the hallway and wrote Jump to It, you know, and sent it to her, and we demoed it and sent it to her, and she said, I love it. She says, put it down, let's do it.
Jump to it.
So we did them. I ended up doing the whole album. And, you know, and getting a brand new friend, you know, because she and I have been friends for decades. Jump to It. Yes, Jump to It did have ornamentation, you know, which was a bit different for her. But at the core of it all was that hardcore soul music, you know, Nat Adderley Jr. on that piano, Cissy Houston on those background vocals with Tawatha and Fonzie, you know, that's the core of it. And Aretha just being the queen, just standing there at the mic. I've never seen anybody so comfortable with the microphone. She is just, it's really, for her, it's like it's like being on a telephone. You know, on the phone. The microphone is definitely her friend. I was always influenced by female singers. I was influenced by Dionne Warwick and Aretha Franklin and Valerie Simpson, you know, from Ashford and Simpson fame, and Diana Ross and great singers like that. You know, that's what sort of aroused my libido about music.
God bless the day I found you.
Well, the Sweet Inspirations, hands down, are the best singing group ever in all of life. And I just spoke to Cissy Houston last night. It's so funny that we're speaking about her and her group, but she's the most brilliant soprano just ever. You know, the tone of her voice, the instinct, the musical instinct. What makes her different from other singers is how she thinks, how she perceives music and proceeds with what she sees, you know, on a musical level. And she's great. She was a major, major influence for me. As a background singer, mostly sang, other than the disco stuff, mostly sang rock and roll background music records, like, you know, Monkey Island. Who made Monkey Island? What's the name of the group? Jay Giles Band. You know, Todd Rundgren, David Bowie, you know, Bette Midler, you know. So I didn't get to sing any soul music. And I used to always be very envious of my other friends who sang background vocals at other sessions, and they would sing, you know, they would get to sing for Chaka Khan and, you know, Aretha Franklin and these other great soul R&B artists. And somehow I never got to get those sessions. I was booked on rock and roll sessions a lot. Ringo Starr and, you know, just things like that. And so Roberta Flack had hired me for a session and then took me on the road with her. So the money that I had made as a background singer for Roberta Flack, I saved every dime, per diem included, because I knew I wanted to make a demo of some songs, you know, of my own songs. And on a Sunday, I got everybody, the studio, Michael Brower, the engineer, Marcus Miller, Nat Adderley Jr., all the musicians, to come in and sing and play for free. I said, I have an idea for a demo, but of course I don't have enough money to pay for all of this, you know. And I made the song Never Too Much and another song called Sugar and Spice. And we were going on a picnic the following Sunday, and I never forget it. We met in front of Roberta Flack's house in the big bus. Roberta Flack lives in the same building that John Lennon lived in, it's called the Dakota. And we were parked out in front. And when she got in, everybody had short pants and bright colors. And I said, "Oh, Roberta," I said, "would you like to hear my demos, my songs that I made this week?" So she said, "Yeah, let me hear them." So she sits down in the bus. I give her the Walkman and the headsets. And all of a sudden, her whole countenance kind of dropped. She got very serious, and she started crying. And she was listening to a song called "Never Too Much," and she was saying, "Oh, 1,000 kisses from you is never too much. Oh, a million days in your arms is never too much. I love it, blah, blah, blah." And she was so supportive. I didn't know Donnie. I only met him once, very briefly at A&R Studios, for a session that he and Roberta were doing together. And that's that. That's the only time I ever met him. I never had a conversation with him. It's like Roberta was introducing him to her new background singer. And he said, "How you doing, man?" And left. And that was that. That's the only occurrence that I've ever had being in his presence.
The sound that you and Marcus designed, it was airy, there was a sort of nice breeze in it, but it had a lot of muscle because of the bass playing. It was a sound that defined the early 80s for sure, and it sounded very much New York. How did you come up with the sound?
Who knows? We don't study ourselves. We just do what instinct demands that we do. We get together and we say, now there are two ways that we could do this phrase. We could do it like this. Or we could do it like this. I like the first one. Let's do the first one. And that's all. It was years of that.
And you were making duets all the time, duets with the bass. You sang with the bass.
Yeah. A lot of times, Marcus used to always say, he said, because I would say, "Oh, Marcus, play this." And I'd sing something that I'd want him to play. And he would say something like, "That's not a line that a bass player would play in a song." I said, "Yeah, but that's the line that you're getting ready to play. So play this," right? And so we'd laugh and he'd play it and everything, and that was part of our style. I guess part of it was my not knowing that there were rules that people followed. Rules. Who cares about rules? Nobody. We don't care about rules. We're making music. This is not an exact science. This is art. Who told Picasso to put the eye down on the chin the first time? This is art. We can do what we want to do. And if you don't like it, you can buy something else. That's how we always felt about it. But we also felt that we were doing something that was good. And instinct, worked for us.
The sweet